there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me, and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's gonna stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever gonna stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
No, see, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Come on, if you would just...
Don't!
All right. All right. How can anybody identify with that? Is that not how we normally talk about listening? You know, and it's so funny because husbands can always see the problem. Right off the back, we can see the problem. We think we can see the problem. Let me say it like that. We think that we can see the problem. Or the problem always seems to be obvious to us. But what I've also found is that we're not really good listeners. Now, the definition that you want to write down and then we're going to take off is we should learn to listen to hear. Okay? Learn to listen to hear and understand, not how you're going to respond. We should listen to hear and understand and not how we're going to respond. Most of us listen
just long enough to give your response.
So that we're going to give you a response.
We're not really trying to hear what they're saying. I'm hearing because I'm ready to fire back.
Exactly.
Double barrels.
Mostly, yes.
And did I really hear the heart of what he's saying?
Yes, and that's really, really important. Matt, we did have that second clip. I don't know if we had that one queued up, okay. But we really understand that trying to become effective listeners is an art. It's not something that you just get by osmosis, by hanging out with. No, it's really an art. And listening to the point when they're telling you something that we can respond, well, okay, well, share more with me. Okay, all right, yeah, so what you're saying is, as opposed to, all right, you done? You done? Because I'm going to tell you what it is. That's normally how we listen, and that's not real effective. And over the years, and even suppose probably more recently, I've really tried to become a better listener. In the teaching of 23andMe, the first thing that we talked about was learning to be more attentive.
Yes.
And attentiveness is really learning how to listen, and listen to my children. I listen to them different. Listen to my spouse different. I'm trying to really learn the art of listening so that I can truly understand where they're coming from. That's not a matter of whether I agree or disagree. That's not the point. The point is hearing them, what they have to say.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right, baby, you want to tell them about the book and or anything?
Okay, so a lot of these points and lessons are coming from the book. This one here is by Hassani and Daniel Pettiford. It's called The Audacity of Marriage, 10 Principles for Long Life Partnerships. So this is where this one comes from.
Yes.
And so I would encourage those of you who are married to grab that book. You know, and even if you're single,
yes,
it will give you tools on how to understand or communicate with
Yes.
people.
One of the better books that we have read over the last probably 20 years as it regards relationship and communicating. Really good. A great read. It's worth it. Matter of fact, we took some things out of it. We comprised a workbook, and when we met with him and talked to him, he was so enthusiastic because I told him, I said, you don't have a workbook? And he says, no one has ever asked. And so he has developed the workbook, and he's sending it to us just for this very purpose. And so
we get to be the first ones who get to go through it and
yes,
hash it up and say we need it,
exactly. So we're really looking forward to that. It's going to be exciting. All right, well, we're going to get started, and then we'll move from there, okay? First, want to read?
All right, so our series overview was relearning in order to love better. That's the L, learning. Reobserving in order to operate better. That's the O. Revoicing in order to visualize better. That's the V. That's where we are today. And next week we'll be reestablishing in order to engage better. And that's the E.
And so what we mean by revoicing in order to visualize better, learning how to say, learning how to speak so that I or we can get a clearer picture or visualize things better. When my wife is talking to me, she's really voicing her opinion, her concerns, her thoughts, all of those things in order for me to be able to visualize things better.
From my perspective.
Yes, from her perspective. And that's so important. Okay. Baby?
In the scripture, it's in Amos 3:3. It says, do two journey together unless they have agreed.
Agreed. Agreement. How do we really have agreement? Agreement. We talked about the word in the previous lesson, sinphoneo. Sinphoneo, the Greek word where we get our English word symphony. The word symphony means harmony, harmonious. And when you listen to music, things are in harmony. When you hear something that is off, it's called a discord, tension. And so when you don't have agreement, you don't have the harmony, and tension is present. So most of us...
And you don't have to have words.
No.
To not be in agreement. In other
Yes.
words, someone can be silent and you're still not in agreement.
Yes.
And just because one person is getting their way does not mean you are in agreement. And there is tension, that means there is discord.
I will venture to say if you are getting your way all the time, there is tension in your relationship. There's more compromise than there is negotiation for agreement.
We talked about the
100%.
win-win.
Yes, the win-win.
Right.
And tension, so you ever hear it say it's so thick you can do what?
Slice it with a
Cut it
knife.
with a knife. And everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's where you got it, and you get on your side of the room, I get on my side of the room, your side of the bed, my side of the bed, your side of the car, and we don't talk, we don't do whatever, that's called tension, okay?
Right. There's no space or place for you to really come together to handle or to tackle the tough situation.
Yes, and most of us don't know how to handle conflict.
Right.
As even myself, I realized, I said, hey, I think I'm a pretty good orator. You can be a good orator, but a horrible listener.
Yes.
Anybody know what I'm talking about? How many guys think you pretty much got the gift of gab? Any show of hands? Everybody got the
Bishop
gift
really
of gab?
does have the gift of gab, and he really could run circles.
Yeah, you got the gift of gab. But you know what? But you're a horrible listener. You're sitting here, you're listening to her, and you're thinking, yeah, but you got a nail in your head. I love the part she says, I don't know, but all of my sweaters are snagged for some reason. I thought that was, okay, let me.
It's good because it gives you a good visual how some of us are really walking around.
Yes.
That we have things that are pronounced or out there that are causing conflict in our lives in every different kind of area. And your friend, spouse, parent can tell you, if you could just get that, can I just get that out there, you might bleed a little.
Right.
But it will be for the betterment of you.
Yes. Well, we're going to go over, we're going to talk about today, we're going to teach on learning how to truly apologize. Learning how to truly apologize. I would pray that some of you would take notes. If you don't have notes, take your phone, take a picture of the screen, because you're going to come to understand that what you think that you're doing, you may not be doing. And so we're going to talk about how to truly apologize.
There's about 7 steps to a true apology.
Yes.
Most of us think or come with the mind frame that if I just say I'm sorry, that's it.
No,
I'm good, you should be good now because I've
No.
said I'm sorry.
no.
And that's not what a true apology is.
That's not a true apology. It's not complete. And so we want to talk about that. And all of us will say, okay, I'm sorry then. That's not an apology, so.
That's
we're-
like the gentleman in the video. He was like, okay, I'll listen.
Yeah, no, that's
know.
not sincere. Okay, let's go to the first one, baby. You want to read
Okay,
that?
it says, so make your apology personal.
Personal. An apology has to be personal first.
Yes, not just an admission of wrong. Show care about having violated them.
That's important. Showing care that you have violated them.
Injured.
Yes. So when I have to apologize to first now, I don't do what Becky and Brian do. I'm sorry. me, Javi, and
I'm
Athena,
sorry.
we talked, and that was our funny. It was, I'm sorry.
We read a book, and
Yes.
the book had Becky and Brian was the main people
Yes.
in that book, and so, they would say, I'm sorry, and
Yeah.
so.
And so then
you
we
know,
laughed about it.
Yeah.
And so,
A little more than that.
But it's more than I'm sorry. I have to say, honey, first of all, I am so sorry. And I want you to forgive me that I didn't listen nor really understand you from where you were coming from. And I was in a hurry to rush to judgment and prove my point. And so I want you to know that I'm sorry. Okay, I'm listening 100%. You have my undivided attention.
Oh, so sweet.
Now, guys, do you have any idea how hard that was to learn to say? I'm telling
All
you,
right.
a grown man, I was so hard how to learn to say it without feeling like such a sap. My blackness was holding me back because it wasn't cool.
Right.
It wasn't the 70s black exploitation. Well, if you can't dig it and can't get with it, then that's your problem. No, you can't see. That's how we were raised, that we talked to our women and our wives. Well, baby, if you can't pick up what I'm laying down, honey, then that's your problem. You can't get with it, Jack. Something like that. We think we're cool and smooth. No. And we think that if we say, I'm sorry, and honey, watch, I violated. You realize that the individual that you're married to is a person, a real person. And just because she's female and you're male, she's not less than you. And you're not more than her. And in African American communities and in a lot of families, we have really done a disservice to our spouses because we make them feel less than. They're not equal to. We have these complexes, and in
They're
a lot.
limiting. They're called limiting
Yes.
beliefs, is what they are. The things that you're raised with, your communities,
Yes.
those types of things. Culturally, there's some limiting beliefs that you don't realize that you're carrying until you're able to lay that down in a safe place to
Yes.
even investigate why you think the way you think or say the things that you say.
How many of you were raised with seeing your uncles and your aunts and your cousins and moms, and maybe moms and dads, that when they got into an argument and there was conflict, that dad would backhand mom, slap her? Thank you. Appreciate your honesty.
My mom was a little rough.
Right, but but my point is this. The point that I'm trying to say is that because they do not have the tools and the skills to resolve the conflict, so we resort to hitting or lashing out. verbally
Name
or
calling.
physically.
Right.
That's how most of us, kids on the school grounds right now, kids are out of control. They don't know how to resolve conflict. We tell them, play nice in the sandbox. Well, how many guys know a lot of us as adults, we don't play nice in the sandbox?
Exactly. We are their example.
Yes. So personal.
Make it
Make
personal.
it personal. And so I want you to take a moment. I want you to look at your spouse. See, y'all can't even do it. Look at the person that you come with, your spouse, and then say, simultaneously, both parties say, honey, not that. Don't do that. Okay. Say, honey,
Honey,
I'm sorry
I'm sorry
that I violated you
that I violated you.
when I did
When I did.
such and such.
When I talked over you.
Some of y'all not even
when
moving your
I
lips. I'm looking at you.
dismissed
Some of you not even moving your lips. Him
When
back
I-
there, he can't even do it. Look at him. He's just all sour grapes. He can't even bring himself to do it. Honey, I'm sorry that I violated you. Because how many guys know that it is a violation?
Yes.
When your wife comes to you and says, you really make me feel about this small when you do this. You have stripped her.
Well, if she can even get to you to say that.
Yeah, okay. So let's move to the next one. So you understand what I'm saying?
I'm just saying.
Let's move on to the next. Yeah, if she can get to you to say.
She's got to be able to even be able to say it.
Or maybe she doesn't even feel comfortable.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be a safe place to be able to say the things. And not in a way where you're coming with a nail to hit them in the head.
Right.
You're coming from the perspective of how you feel.
Yes. We talked about those in the engagement last week about making it a safe place. Not only for your spouse, what about your kids? Can your child really come to you and say, Mommy, Daddy, I'm really struggling, and I've got a problem with something,
Or something that you did.
or how you talk to me, how you treat me really makes me feel so unworthy. And you don't say, boy, you better get out my face.
That's what we're tending.
But see, that's how we normally do it, as opposed to kneeling down and saying, Son,
Tell me more.
I am so sorry for making you feel that way. That is not my intention. Please forgive me. And Daddy is listening.
Tell me how you feel. I need to know what's on your heart. Because when you get those things out of the heart,
Yes.
the person can thrive.
Yes. And they feel that it's safe to come and talk. Number 2, baby.
Number 2, make your apology specific. No generic, I'm sorry. Apologize for not only hurting them, but for how you harmed them.
You're harming them. And so, in other words, don't say, look, I said I'm sorry. Get off my back. Is that not enough? I said I'm sorry. What more you want me to say? I'm sorry. How many guys know that is not a true apology? Right?
Right? You're right.
Are y'all tracking with us? Are you really?
You got to say what you did.
Yeah. This
You
is a keeping it real
acknowledge-
church.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got to acknowledge what you did. When I said, you make me sick, I'm sorry that I said that. Because first of all, I don't want to be sick. Okay, we take them words back.
Yes.
I don't want to be sick. And that's truly not how you make me feel.
Right.
I'm hurt. And that's what we need to get
Yes.
to.
Or you say, you always do that. We talked about don't
Staying
do that.
away from.
Absolute. Stay away from absolutes. You always. You always.
Never.
You never.
Always.
Those are just absolutes. Just stay away from those. Okay.
Number 3, make assurance to never cross that line again. Not just feeling bad, but make strives to not make the same mistake in the future.
Repeat offenders. If somebody violates your trust in that same area over and over and over and over again, do you take them serious?
No. Your guard will always be up.
No. You just say that person is not serious. And you know why? Because the person basically says, you know what, it doesn't matter if I do it again because I've apologized, and if I apologize, then all should be good. No. You see, the person who is the violator has to say to themselves, this is how you know healing is coming. I will never do or treat you that way again. You have my word on it.
Or do my best, because you're going to make a
Yeah.
mistake.
But my point is, that is sincere. I'm going to do my best. No, you're going to say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to step out on you.
Yes.
I'm not going to hit you. I'm not going to cuss you out up and down in front and embarrass you like that. How many of you guys know these are all the things that we do, especially when we're mad?
I'm not going to silence you.
Ooh, that's a good one, baby. Come on, reach.
Okay. Sometimes it's not just with words or
Yes.
actions. It's the silence that can kill someone else too.
Yeah, I'm not going to silence you. You guys know how to make them do the silent treatment. Just push them into submission. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Number 4, make your apology sincere. Don't apologize to satisfy your guilt or get out of trouble. Make eye contact, be gentle, warm, and care with proper tone and body language.
Ooh, that's a mouthful. How many of you guys know you can't do it like this? I said I'm sorry. You can't do that. Do you realize how much it takes to turn to someone, look at them, hold their hand, and says, please, here, look, listen to me. I'm sorry. I need you to forgive me. I didn't mean to hurt you in that manner. And be sincere about it.
Right,
Because, most people, when they do that, how many of you guys know they can't look at you,
right, right.
right?
You want to look away.
Yeah.
Look
And
on.
that doesn't work. That doesn't help.
Right.
Okay, so we want you to be sincere. Everybody say, be sincere.
Be sincere. Now, there still is a responsibility of the person who's been injured to be able to receive what they're saying. So, although there's a greater responsibility for the person who has injured, there's still a responsibility to the person who's been injured to, as they are coming to apologize, that you don't take the same approach
Right.
and say, they never did. It's fake.
And-
You have to be sincere in trying to receive their apology.
And not only that, you have to give the hurt party time to get it out.
Yes.
You can't say, okay, I said I'm sorry, so you say you forgive me. Okay, that's it. No. Sometimes when you injure somebody, it takes longer for them to heal.
Right.
And so we want to talk about how we do that.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Make your apology repeatedly. A single apology is not viewed the same as being apologetic.
Say that again, baby.
A single apology is not viewed the same as being apologetic.
A apology is not the same as being apologetic. What we're asking you to do is become apologetic. That means not only willing just to say I'm sorry, but to be able to say I'm sorry repeatedly if necessary. Because it may take 2 or 3 times for them to open up and really cry and say, or not that they have to cry, honey, you just don't realize how bad you really hurt me. And you can't say, well, when they start trying to get it out to heal, you have to be able to say, honey, you're right. I am so sorry. I truly apologize. I didn't mean to hurt you that way.
And what happens is sometimes you'll be in a situation where it gives the appearance of that past hurt. And you, as the hurt person, needs to be able to say to them, this is making me feel a certain way, which allows them to say, maybe I'm so sorry, it's not my intent, let's talk about that. What makes you feel that way? I'm not that same person, those types of things. It has to be a safe place for that.
It's funny, when me and my wife first got together, I told you that I would drive, and if I was driving too close to cars, she would flinch because she was in a car accident and she went into the windshield when she was young. And so if I come up and I'm just too close, she would get, she'd jump, she would flinch, and then she would say, can you just back away from
me.
Can you slow down for me? And then I'm like, don't tell me how to drive. I'm 5 car lengths. How that's not, that was me not taking into consideration how she has been harmed. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? That didn't show
Or how
care.
I feel.
Or how she felt. It didn't show love. And so once I stopped getting upset because it wasn't personal,
Right. I wasn't saying he was a bad driver.
You see what I'm saying?
See, that was his first interpretation in the
Yes.
beginning was, as I was telling him how to drive or that his driving was bad. I just needed him to back up to make me comfortable.
Right.
I never said, you're a horrible driver. I just said, can you back up for me?
And so I would say, okay, and I've learned to say, I'm sorry, babe, you're right, I'm too close. Or slow down, or whatever it is, right? Okay, so that's what we're talking about there, that learning to really be apologetic and not just apologizing.
Right. It means offering an apology as often as it's needed until that hurt wound is healed. You may have to apologize many
Yeah.
times.
How many of you guys ever thought if I just said it once, that's enough?
That's
I
enough.
used to
I mean,
think
that's
that.
what I used to think.
I used to think that.
I used to
Hey,
think
I apologized. I'm good. I mean, what else you want me to say? I already said I'm sorry.
Because here's what happens, is that when you apologize, you're still working on breaking the habit.
Yes.
And if you can communicate when that something arises, then you're growing then. But if you can't communicate it, if I can't never say that's the same thing, or baby, you did it again, you don't give them a space or a place to grow and
Right.
learn.
Yes, because sometimes we can do it and not know.
Right.
Okay, next one, baby, number 6.
Number 6, make certain, do not deny. Do not try to make your partner feel guilty for needing an apology. Don't discount, dismiss, or dismiss the injury, excuse me.
Yes. So in other words, don't deny if you said, I said I'm sorry once, and then the person brings up the subject matter again, okay, and then you say like, we don't have to do this all over again. No, because now what you're doing is you're discounting the injury. And so what we've learned is every Sunday night we have what's called work night. And we sit down and we work on our relationship. And if there's any offense that has happened during the week
That we could not address at that moment.
that we couldn't address at the moment, we sit down, we have a worksheet that we now talk about it, and now she feels safe that it's not going to be overlooked or neglected, pushed under the carpet, whatever
Not
it
going to
might
be
be.
overtalked.
Not going to overtalk her, whatever. I'm going to sit there and truly listen and try to hear and understand, so because we want to resolve it. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? And so that's something that we agreed that from here on out, there's 2 things that we learned. Friday night is our date night. When we had the kids, we stopped doing date night. Bad.
We would go out to eat, but it wasn't
It
really
wasn't date
date
night.
y'all.
It's not date night.
We'd eat out every week together, and go out
but
together.
that wasn't date night.
It really wasn't date.
With the kids. And then on Sunday night, we have work night. And they are both great times, and we enjoy it. And so anyhow, so my point is, that was what we call putting in the process so that we can work through conflict. Some of us don't have a process in order to work through conflict. And not only that, we have it written down. We have a written process that we work to work through any conflict, And sometimes it's just maybe I'm doing something that I think that I should be doing, and she says, well, babe, you didn't even discuss it with me. And I'm like, well, I didn't think I had to. That's a problem. Where in times past, I says, I don't have to discuss that. I'm just doing what it is that I do. That's not good communication. Not good for a relationship making. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay. All right. Now, we're going to talk about true forgiveness.
All right, true forgiveness is rarely as simple as saying I'm sorry to the hurt offender. It requires a change of mind and heart, and it requires turning from destructive behavior and turning towards God.
Okay, want to read it one more time, babe?
Okay. True forgiveness is rarely as simple as saying I'm sorry to the hurt offender. It requires a change of mind and heart, and it requires turning from destructive behavior and turning towards God.
Great. So, change of heart, change of mind, and then also what? Turning from destructive behavior and learning to turn towards God. We call that repentance.
Right. So what happens is as you really are committed to the process of healing and loving another individual, that you'll begin to catch yourself when you do certain behaviors or things that have been a problem for your spouse.
Right.
And then you'll be like, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oops, I see that I caught myself on that time.
Before we go forward, what I didn't do, I want to do something on apologizing.
Okay.
We talked about these 6 points of
Yeah.
learning to truly apologize. Does anyone have a question about these 6 things that we talked about on apologizing before we move forward with forgiveness? Anybody have a quick question that they want to ask? Okay. 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 You want to answer that?
First and foremost, the first thing you can do is come together and you simply just say, hey, I have hurt you in the past. And from this day forward, I want to learn to love you better. And I'm asking for your help to help me love you better. So if there's something that I'm doing, if you can kindly tap me and say, hey, babe, that really bothers me. It'll give me an opportunity to see the things that I'm doing and be able to make correction.
Okay. Is your spouse or mate or who you're talking about, are they here with you? Okay. Okay. Well, that would be the first step, as First would say. And then obviously getting yourself exposed to learning materials on how to, one, maybe manage anger. Because I think a lot of us, sometimes we have anger problems, anger issues, and they come out in various different formats. And a lot of anger is a result of just being hurt, okay? And not knowing how to handle it. Like you said, as from maybe childhood or just whatever it is. It's what you've seen, it's what you've patterned, and everybody in your family, you says, we just cuss each other out.
Right, right.
And so when you grow up with, a cussing family, and then you get into, when you get angry,
You cuss.
you start cussing.
Put emphasis on stuff.
Yeah, that ain't
And all
bad,
that really does, it's a means to protect yourself.
Sure.
Because if you start getting angry like that, it's telling the other person, back up off of me.
Sure.
So
And
you're trying to protect yourself.
Yes, and that's something that you both will have to work together.
Right.
Okay.
But your person will appreciate you coming beforehand to say, hey, I want to do better for you and for me.
Yes.
Help me.
And if
to love you
if
better.
you're not maybe can word it that way, learning to watch information together,
Yes.
and then sitting down and talk about what did you hear them say. Now let me tell you what I heard them say, and then merge the two together. Well, can we agree on this and write these things down and say, can we begin to put these into practice in our lives? Right. That's how that begins, and it's a consistent thing. Right. You have to be consistent.
Be a student of your spouse.
Yes, be a student of your spouse. That's another thing. That's a great one. How do you get past number 6?
Number 6 was, okay.
How
So
to
are you saying, so for clarity, are you saying, how do I forgive the other person? Because they're apologizing. Have you really released them of the debt that they have done? Is that what you're, okay.
Okay, learning how to forgive. So that's what we're getting ready to go into now, learning
Okay.
how to truly forgive.
Okay.
That's the reason why we put these two together, learning how to apologize and then learning how to forgive, that they do go hand in hand.
That goes back to the responsibility of both parties, the person
Yes.
who's injured and the person who's been injured.
Yes. Okay, just stick with us. We're
Okay.
doing good. We're going to be on time, okay? Just want to make sure we get through this, but I think this, hopefully this will help you in your communication of your relationship. Number 1,
True forgiveness is a healing process.
Stop. True forgiveness is a healing process. I want you to understand that when we start talking about forgiveness, forgiveness is a healing process when you've been violated, okay? It's not just because the person said, I'm sorry, forgive me, and you say, okay, then okay, everything's not a rubber band and everything bounces back to everything's A-okay, I'm okay, you're okay. No, you realize now there's a process that I have to go through. And I want to say that sometimes the process that we have to go through is we have to unpack all of the baggage.
Right. All of the rocks in your backpack.
Yes,
guys.
we have to unpack the baggage. And then learning to say, I'm not going to put any more rocks in your backpack is important.
Right, right.
That's really important. That's the first thing in the race. I'm not going to put any more rocks in your backpack. And then you have to go through unpacking them. I don't know, you may have to get a counselor. You may have to do something because conversation, you have to have what we call cathartic conversation, real, deep, introspective conversation, not to just the what, but the why. Why do I do this? Why do I respond like that? And that's where the work process, there is a lot of good books. There's a lot of good tapes. And again, like I said, it's like brain surgery. Just, you know, you got something on your brain.
Or the nail.
Don't try to remove it yourself. Find people who are experienced in that area that you can trust and then get their expertise and their wisdom in that area, okay?
Right, right. Just know that it is a process to healing.
Yes.
And what typically happens is that as you're going through the healing process, there'll be triggers, what we call triggers,
Yes.
things that pop up that make you feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to get you to is a safe place that when that trigger happens, you can stop and pause and talk to your partner without it not being safe, with
Yeah.
it being safe so that you can get it out.
That's a good one, babe. Write that down. We're going to talk about that next week. Triggers. So does everybody know what triggers are?
I ain't got no pen. But
You guys ever have triggers?
certain things
Yeah.
that trigger you. You know?
Certain triggers. You know what I'm saying?
It could be leaving the dishes in the sink. It's a trigger.
Whatever it is. It can be a lot of
I'm
things.
just going to say,
Those
because when
triggers.
you grew up, your mother would not let you go to sleep with dishes in the sink. I mean, it could be a
a lot
trigger.
of triggers. So next week we're gonna address triggers. Okay, there's triggers.
Okay.
Okay, and finish that
Okay.
top there. You commit.
You commit to your partner in which both parties make the effort to heal.
Yes, that's key. Both parties must make the effort to heal. In other words, if I'm the offender and she is the recipient most of the time in this example that I'm using, there's a healing process for her from being hurt all the time, but there's a healing process for me as the offender because hurt people hurt people. So if she goes through the healing process, but I'm the same, how many of you guys know that's not good? So both parties have to understand that not only do you need to heal from the hurt that you have, that you're taking it, and I have to learn to heal because I'm the person who's dishing it. Give you an example. If you're a kid and you're raised and your father or your mother or whoever watched you was physically abusive to you as a kid, you may get quiet, you get beat up on. Let me tell you what normally happens. Kids who we see in school who are abusive to other kids, it's a sign of what's going on in the home, okay? And so they become bullies or whatever, and so you see what I'm saying?
Because they're trying to gain control.
Right. So now they get into a relationship, they love this person, but when this person does
triggered.
something that
Triggers
angers,
them.
displeases, and triggers whatever it is that they have, their response is they physically take it out on them. So now this person says, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit you, I didn't mean to hurt you, I didn't mean to beat you, or whatever it is. And you tell them, it says, okay, and then you says, now you're going, I know Sister Carla deals with battered women a lot. Well, if you deal with battered women, then you have husbands who are abusive, and if they're in the relationship, if both of them do not go through the healing process, neither of them can become whole, and the relationship cannot grow.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And there'll be a time in a season that as he may go to just brush the hair back, she might flinch
That's a trigger.
because it's a trigger.
Yeah.
until she feels safe that he's only going to brush
Right.
the hair
Now,
back.
why are we, somebody said, this doesn't sound like church. Let me tell you, it is very much because you know what it is? It's soulish. Spirit, body, and soul. We got to change some solar things. Be ye there transformed. Conform not to the ways of the world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Talking about the soulish component. And so getting more information. When you get repetitious information in this area, you can begin to transform.
We want you to,
Yes.
to look like Christ and to love like Christ.
Yes. Okay. Let's get these next ones out because we just hang on
Hold
with
on.
us. We've
We're
got
on number
about
2.
We're on number 2. We got
Number 2.
about 10, 15 minutes. Just hang in there. I promise you, and then we'll get to the sweater contest. Okay. All right.
True forgiveness. We never said we was having a sweater
I
contest.
I'm ad-libbing on the fly.
Okay. True
I'm
forgiveness.
freestyling. I'm freestyling. Okay. Go ahead.
True forgiveness is a transaction, not an all-inclusive pardon granted by the hurt party.
Yes, it's a transaction. Some people think that just because they've been forgiven, that means they get a get out of jail pass on everything. That's not. It's not an all-inclusive thing. It's a transaction. You get a pass on that transaction. Some people think, well, she's forgiven me, so if I, look, hey,
No ways.
no, it doesn't
No
work
ways.
like that. It's transactional, okay?
Right. Number 3, true forgiveness is an exchange.
Okay, so when a hurt person, what do they exchange for the person who's been offended, okay?
Between
Hurt
the
person.
two of you, and it comes with conditions.
Yes.
It's an exchange.
It's an exchange. And there are conditions. And when you get in a relationship, you say, you know what? Listen, I'm willing to accept your apology and I'm willing to forgive you, but here are the conditions. Right. And then this person says, okay, you're correct. And I now make sure that in this exchange that I won't do these things to violate this. You guys get what I'm saying? Right. That you have to learn to really work through, talk through, and get on one accord, because all of this is bringing you into what we call one accord. And I'm not saying that your relationship is bad. Right. It's like we say good, better, best. All of us can have the best relationship, but it takes work.
It does, okay? Number 4, true forgiveness must be earned.
How many of you guys know that you have to earn their forgiveness?
Right.
In other words, because if somebody devalues it and they cheapen it, they think that it doesn't matter. If I hurt you, you're going to forgive me. Or she going over there to that church. She done got all spiritual. She got to forgive because God told her, if you don't forgive your brother, then how can your Heavenly Father? So she got to forgive. No, you still have to earn my forgiveness. Right. In other words, the way to earn it is don't devalue it.
Right.
Don't devalue it, right? How many agree with that?
Put forth purposeful effort.
Yes.
Okay, number 5, true forgiveness. The offender must be willing to pay the price.
Ooh, that's a big one. How many of you guys know that a lot of times people say, I'm sorry, but they don't want to pay the price?
Right.
When you really have hurt someone, violated them, and offend them, the first thing the offender must say, okay, I got to be willing to pay the price. What is pay the price? You may have cheated on your wife, and your wife says, okay, I want you to go to counseling. I want you to go get sexual addiction counseling.
I want to see your phone.
I want to see your phone. Whatever it may be, you got to pay the price. You got to agree that I can check your phone. That
Until I no longer need to check.
Yes, that you haven't been where it is that you shouldn't be. I'm not giving you my phone. No, what you think this is, I ain't no kid.
I said I was sorry.
You see what I'm saying? No. The offender has to be willing to pay the price. All right, you're correct. I want this to work. If this is what it takes for you, I'm good with it, to show you that I'm sincere.
That's the key word, as you said there, Bishop. If this is what it takes for you, you have to be willing to lay yourself down.
Yes.
And allow the other person, and pick the other person up, and allow them to heal in the way they need.
Number 6.
Number 6, true forgiveness. The hurt party must allow the debt to be paid as the offender works hard to earn their trust.
Okay, number 6. And Shay, did you see that? Did you see that? Look, true forgiveness. The hurt party must allow the debt to be paid as the offender works hard to earn back the trust. So when they apologize, you have to say, okay, I'm willing to accept your apology, but these are the steps that it's going to take in order for you to pay that debt. This is what we have to agree to work through, because if you do the same thing again, then it doesn't mean anything. So the point is that just like we talked about the conditions, there has to be a price that has to be paid, but you have to be willing to allow them to pay it.
Yes.
And if you say, well, I hear what you're saying, but I really don't trust you, you're just going to do it again, so I'm withholding
I'm
forgiveness.
hold my guard up each time.
Yes, the word forgiveness is a financial term. If you guys, anybody, you don't have to show your hand, anybody had a debt collector call you? I said you didn't have to show your hand. That's okay. But if you had a debt collector call you, and they say, Ms. Johnson, you owe us $1,000. You already says, but I tell you what, we will settle the debt for $100 today. But today and today only. Can you pay me $100 and we'll wipe out and forgive the other $900? And you tell them, $50, you got a deal. $50, you got a deal. They said, okay, bet. And you give them $50, now watch. They wipe out the debt. They have forgiven you. It's called debt forgiveness. It's the same thing with salvation. Jesus, when we accept what Jesus, the price that he paid on the cross as our Savior, he now wipes out the debt that we owe for the penalty of sin, and we get what's called forgiveness.
Right.
Same thing. So, and forgiveness is a debt that you cannot pay.
Right.
Does everybody understand? So in that analogy, if they says you owe us $1 million for pain and suffering, you say, I don't have $1 million. I can't pay $1 million. They said, I tell you what, if you give us $100 today, we'll settle the debt. We'll forgive you for it. And you says, I'm going to come up with $100 so that I don't have to pay the $1 million. That's called forgiveness.
Right.
So it is a price that has to be paid. Okay?
Right.
All right.
Number 7, true forgiveness. The hurt party must work hard to let go of the resentment.
There you go. So Shay, make sure you take a copy of the screen. 6 and 7.
This is one of the things that
those are
I've
your
said
points.
over the year is that, Lord, help me to love the new man as the new man emerges.
Yes.
I don't want to hold him to the old things that he's done, but as he's becoming new, I want to love and to cherish the new man.
Sure. Just learning to let go of the resentment. And you know, sometimes guys, you know, we can say whatever when we're hurting our spouse or our partners. It may not even be anything what we consider to be big. Just in other words, not allowing a person to feel as if they're being heard in the relationship is big. And you maybe didn't intend it, but you know, it just works out the way because they're quiet, they're shy, they're passive, you know, whatever it is. But what you realize when they want to say, hey, I'm different, and this is hurting me, and I need you to help me change it. How many guys know if you love them, you listen?
Right.
Number 8, baby.
True forgiveness. If either party fails to do the work, true forgiveness will not be obtained.
Yeah, you can circle do the work. How many guys know the only way to get through it is you got to do the work?
Right.
The young man asked the question. You both have to be willing to do the work.
Right.
You have to be willing to do the work. If you're not going to do the work, you're not going to get it. Okay?
Go ahead. Question?
Okay. Hold on. Questions at the end. We got to come to the close, and then we got to do the sweater party. Okay. All right. Last one.
True acceptance of forgiveness. You must accept that you are truly worthy of forgiveness from God, your partners and others, and mostly yourself.
Please read that part again.
Okay, then and only then can the process of true healing begin.
Read that again.
So,
man.
true acceptance of forgiveness. You must accept that you are truly worthy of forgiveness from God.
That's number 1. You must accept that you are truly worthy. A lot of people can't forgive or accept forgiveness because they don't feel worthy.
Right.
Sometimes your problem with accepting somebody else's forgiveness is because you don't feel worthy. Okay?
Okay.
Number 2 there.
Your worthy for forgiveness from God, your partners and others, and mostly yourself.
Another one, most people can't forgive themselves. People who have ever done something, they have the hardest time forgiving themselves. I can't believe I did that. I don't know why. And I just, I'm just such a horrible person, and nobody could ever love me. Nobody will ever understand. One, you have to be able to realize that if God can forgive you, then you have to learn to forgive yourself.
Right. Very important.
And there are things that people, they do horrific things, horrific things. And if they have a moral compass, the guilt eats them. Now, if they don't have a moral compass, it doesn't matter. They're not convicted. There's no conviction of what they've done. But if a person has a moral compass and they says, I really need help, I need you to forgive me, that person has to learn to forgive themselves.
Right. Then and only then can the process of healing begin.
Amen. Then and only then can the process of healing begin. Come on, let's give God a clap offering.
Amen.